God, like 20 times.
Do we need to turn the lights? Is that helpful?
No. We need to exist in darkness.
Yeah, no, turning on those lights would be homophobic.
Yeah.
Welcome to Recapping Romantasy, hot takes on hot literature. Who are we?
We are me, Emma.
I am Tabitha.
And I am Maura. Recapping Romantasy contains mature content from fairy smut to dragon rider torture to monster genitalia. Be sure to check the episode notes for content warnings and the link to the transcript.
I apologize in advance if I talk too fast today because I am hepped up on Sudafed.
Yeah, she's just
Having
super high.
having seasonal allergies, and I didn't want to be stuffy for the podcast. So here I am, floating to the ceiling.
Yeah, she's good. It's okay. We'll keep her seated.
Did you also shout that out for your mom?
What do you mean?
Didn't your mom say we talk too fast?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
It's me. I talk too fast.
No,
and
we all talk
I've
too
been
fast.
told that my entire life.
Yeah, all of us are fast talkers, and we
At our-
apologize.
Yeah. I guess slow us down to 0.5 speed if you're having trouble.
Yeah.
Specifically Tabitha's mom.
Specifically
Yeah.
Tabitha's mom.
Yeah, Mom.
We're so sorry, Tabitha's mom.
I love you, though.
Yeah, we all love you. It's going to be good.
Mine is the only mom here allowed to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, the other
Yeah,
two
that's true.
the other two are banned. Okay, what are we doing today, you guys?
We are going to talk about the best book of the year.
Bold statement in March, which is when we're recording this.
You know what? It might be true, though. It's so far my favorite book of the year. I gobbled this book up, and then once I was done reading it, I read it again.
Yes, I read it twice in the first week because I needed to read it, and then I needed to listen to the audiobook.
Oh, man, back to back. It was great. So what book were we talking about? It's Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And if you are curious about what Bride by Ali Hazelwood is about, imagine Underworld, those like movies from about a decade back, and imagine it as an Omegaverse rom-com with Adam Driver.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can kind of, describe this in a sentence.
I will say I have hit a point in the discourse about Omegaverse where I feel the need to say something. When there's naughty in a story, does that make it always Omegaverse? Because that means that all werewolf stories are then Omegaverse. This book only ever mentions alphas. It does not mention omegas.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. I think I call it Omegaverse because I know that it's coming from that area of fanfic.
Very true.
Yeah, like Ali Hazelwood, if we don't know who she is a big Reylo fanfic author from the Star Wars fanfiction universe. Where she ships Rey and Kylo Ren from the new movies. And a lot of her fanfic, before she got big and published and is a New York Times bestseller and all of that, is a lot of it was Omegaverse. So I think she's just kind of pulling from the Omegaverse fanfic when she wrote this book.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who's spent a bit of time in the Reylo world and accidentally read one of Ali Hazelwood's original Omegaverse fanfiction of Reylo, this is definitely like Omegaverse light. They only talk about like the most, I don't want to say popular or most important. Like I think first off, the word is Omegaverse. How do you have Omegaverse without an Omega? But we're missing the obvious other pieces, I think, that make it more Omegaverse, which is like pheromones, runs, heats.
Yeah.
Mpreg.
Yeah. No, I don't read Mpreg.
Yeah, it's missing the Omega in Bride. Like they have the concept of mates.
Yeah.
And the mates thing is pretty rare. Like in this book,
it's missing the element that is what's the name of the fetish I'm trying to think of?
Breeding.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's definitely
it does
missing
not
that.
have the breeding kink part. It just has the weird penis kink,
It
I
does.
guess.
It's got the weird penis kink. We might as well just say it. It has the weird nodding penis kink that Omegaverse has.
Yeah. I think that's why when I was reading it, and I don't remember if it's in my notes later, but the whole time I was like waiting for there to be an Omega. And for that they like have a one line in here about like how the werewolves, it's like easier for them to reproduce, but like it's way harder for the vampires. And so I was like, oh, okay, so then like somehow this is going to be related to the like Omegaverse thing. Like maybe this person's going to be a secret Omega because like mates are always alpha Omega.
Yeah.
But it literally never goes there.
Yeah, trust me, I was really worried about that. I was really worried that there was going to be pregnancy in this book.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing that I'm into at all.
Yeah.
Which is usually how Omegaverse fics end, I think.
Yeah.
Again, breeding.
But I will say that Ali Hazelwood, I generally, like, other than for this podcast, I generally do not read heterosexual romances. I find them boring.
Okay, fair.
I love Ali Hazelwood so much. I love every single one of her books. I have absolutely no idea why. I could not tell you what makes her the exception. Now, I mean, part of it is because I think it is hilarious that every single one of her male romance interests is Adam Driver.
Except for Love Theoretically. In
Yeah,
which
but
he's more like a Thor character.
Yeah, which is the worst of her books.
It is, yeah.
I haven't even read it.
But the main character is so transparently Adam Driver that I find
it's just so cute.
it's so cute. It's amazing. And again, I'm not really into Adam Driver either. I just think it's fun.
I know. It's just fun. It's just fun to know that this is what she enjoys. And it's just, she's so into Adam Driver that he is the main male character in her life.
Yeah, and even her first book, The Love Hypothesis, that was the one that was...
It's absolutely Adam Driver.
It is.
Well,
100%.
yeah, it is
His
also
name is
named
Adam.
It was, revised from fan fiction that she wrote. And it has some very glaring flaws in it, like that the essentially villain does not suddenly arise until like the last section of the book. But it's still great. It's so
amazing.
great.
It
You
is.
should
It's a
totally
good
read
book.
it.
Yeah.
Every single one. Just read them.
Yeah.
Enjoy them.
Like
They're
the three
like
novellas
candy.
are
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
They are. Like the novellas are even cute, even though they're like, not totally 100% Adam Driver, but I enjoyed those too. And the thing is, I don't know how she does it. It's just so cute, and I never want her to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like when people talk about like, oh, she should sort of move out of this Adam Driver rut she's stuck in. I'm like,
No, don't you dare.
no, don't you dare.
I'm called out for that. Being called out.
Yeah,
being
Emma
attacked.
wants her
Well,
to grow.
Emma has also not read Love Theoretically.
I haven't. Okay.
Yes, and seen the mistake that was.
Yeah.
But I love Adam Driver. He's very cute. He's like an awkward big man, and I just want her to explore other men out there. She is married. Like what? Like I
She
mean,
is
I'm not
married,
saying
yes.
she should write about her husband, but like, is her husband Adam Driver shaped? And I don't know, but. Yes, I just want better for her.
Yeah,
I just want
I
her.
don't.
I just want her to keep wallowing in that Adam Driver love.
I mean,
it's so pure.
They're all great. I haven't read Love Theoretically, so maybe that's where I'm missing this. But I've read her fan fiction where it's all Kylo Ren, Rey, and in like fan fiction, there's like Kylo Ren's alter ego, which is Ben, who's like a nicer version, like awkward IT guy usually in the fan fictions. So she can write other types of men that just aren't Adam Driver.
She totally can. She can do it. It's just that she chooses to write about Adam Driver, and I love that for her.
I'm just worried for her future.
No, she can do it. And if we're concerned though for her future and being able to write outside of Adam Driver, I will say that I think Bride is going to have a sequel.
Yeah.
In which case, the main male character will not be Adam Driver.
Yeah, I know. He's
It will
like
be more of the Oscar Isaac.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be Oscar Isaac.
which is fine. I love Oscar Isaac.
Yeah,
too.
and that's great. I'm happy for her as well. I think that's going to be wonderful for her. Do I wish it was Adam Driver again somehow? Yes.
But like the character is not Oscar Isaac shaped. He's just Poe Dameron.
He is Poe Dameron.
Which
yeah.
is Oscar Isaac's character in Star Wars. If you don't live in the real world,
Yeah, no, it's
obsess over the Star Wars movie.
He's just going to be the person you visualize when you think about
you're going to think about
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron as the main male character in the sequel, which I am 100%
Oh my god,
sure
she
is
should
happening.
introduce like a Pedro Pascal character.
Oh god.
The girls would go
It'd
wild.
be a trilogy. Oh,
Like
god. Because, well, like I said,
like a single father. I know you hate that, Tabitha. But I'm just saying, Allie, if you're listening,
yeah.
Two people in the past 2 days have tried to convince me to watch The Last of Us by using the phrase Pedro Pascal has real daddy energy.
No, that's definitely not what they want to tell you.
no. I mean, if we're talking like internet daddy energy, I think you could maybe remove the child from the equation.
Okay, so we talked about a little bit of the background. This is the Omegaverse Romcom of Underworld with Adam Driver. We're going to dive into the book now and talk about the prologue, which some background here. There are these things called vampires and things called wares. Vampires have a Y in them, FYI, so there's no I in there, it's just a Y. They've been warring
very
for
dramatic.
centuries. Yes, it's so dramatic. And their wars have been going on just like Underworld, to hate each other, just going at it. Misery is a vampire. And in the prologue, she is preparing to marry a very important were to end this war and bring about peace. She has not ever met this man, but he's an alpha of his pack and therefore very important and too busy with his pack to meet her before their wedding. So she has no clue who he is. In true Ali Hazelwood fashion, Misery hears the word pack and immediately envisions him tirelessly working on his abs in a home gym. It's so her. I love her so much.
Listen, I love this book, but Misery as a name, I know they talk about it, but I don't know. We couldn't be just like a little more subtle.
No.
Absolutely not. So her makeup artist is swiping some green stuff on her wrists and neck, and he promises her that this stuff will make her new husband love it.
I was confused by this. Like, I know they have green blood, but
Yeah, wares have green blood and vampires have purple blood. So I'm assuming the green stuff is were blood, but it's never actually explicitly stated what it is. Okay, so mostly I think Ali uses this as a plot device to confuse Misery and hopefully her audience about why Lo reacts to her so outrageously at the wedding, which we're going to discuss in a sec.
Yeah, conspiracy thought.
Yeah.
I think the blood is somehow Lo's blood, because then you're mixing his like pheromones from his blood with how she smells, which is like once you're mated in Omegaverse world, your pheromones like mixed together, and that's how people know. Basically, it's kind of like the wedding ring of werewolf culture. So when he's like, "Why do you?" Sorry, spoiler for like 2 seconds from now. But when he's like, "Why do you smell like this?" It would be kind of, I think, crazy for her to be his mate, but crazier for her to already smell like they're mated, you know?
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But she never explained. So this is tinfoil hat Emma.
It is. It's kind of a red herring, I think.
Yeah.
But they literally never explain it, so we can think whatever it is and be right. Haha. So her brother asks her, when do you think your future husband will kill you? Tomorrow or next week? Which is really setting the scene there for tone. So apparently there was a previous attempt at a political marriage, and it ended in an event called the Aster, named after their blood mixing during the massacre, which I think is pretty inventive. Asters are purple flowers. Misery walks down the aisle with some guards. Everyone hates her because she has no friends, and the wares are enemies. So she can hear everyone taking bets on how long she's going to live or if she's going to have sex tonight. In a true weird Hollywood turn of phrase, she says, sound carries farther than shit, which is, that's true. But
yeah, I guess.
Also a weird phrase to use.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? What is it? White Girls?
No.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, okay, never mind. For those of you who have seen it, it's a movie from the 90s, early aughts.
Yeah, I think so.
And the two characters are like dressed up as white girls, but they're definitely not. They're two black men, and they are in a women's room, and they play a game called Battle Shits, where they just basically poop.
Was this in White Girls? Because this happened in Harold and Kumar.
That's the movie. Yes, thank you. I couldn't. Why did I think it was White Girls? I don't know. Also a funny movie from the 90s.
I wonder if I'll keep this in.
Yeah, you should.
Totally. You should.
Anyways, my point was sometimes shit's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. So the groom is obviously super tall, has a buzz cut.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, that was a really hard, what? No, don't do this to me. And very pale green eyes. And he has this reaction to her that she thinks is contempt, but is actually that he's already obsessed with her in the sexy ways. He gets all weird, grabs her, and growls at her that she, quote, smells like this, unquote. And as everyone starts to panic, they get married. Done.
I knew. The second he was like, how do you smell like this? And he got all up in her face, I was like, they are mates.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I figured they were mates because this is romance.
Well, yeah, I know. But sometimes they fake you out. They're like,
true.
oh, actually,
Well, yeah, and I think that that's the red herring of the green stuff, right? Yeah. She's trying to trick people into not immediately knowing, oh yeah, okay.
I wish we would have had a normie join us. Someone who doesn't know about Omegaverse, so I could ask them, what did you think happened here?
We definitely need a normie in this room. Tell me what you think.
This might be a good lesson for people who are newer at reading. Adults who are maybe trying to pick up reading again. I'm not talking about children. Please, no children read this book. When an author says this is what a character looks like, you don't have to listen to them.
No,
Yeah.
you don't.
I like longer hair on guys. And so when she said he has a buzz cut, I thought, no.
Same.
All of
I
this,
did the same thing.
all of this is happening in your own brain. You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. The thought police aren't going to come for you. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
You can
you know
look
what?
however you want.
They said buzz cut, but they are wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not what happened. Ali had a small. She tried to do something different, and
She
I
did.
was like, "No, Ali,
Yeah.
you are not doing this
She
differently."
only mentions the buzz cut once. Again, I feel called out here.
No, you know
No,
what? She
she-
doesn't. She talks about like stroking it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it feels like
Oh, does she?
Yeah, like
Yeah, okay.
a soft carpet or whatever. I don't
Which
know.
is, she's obviously never touched a like person with a buzz cut.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very enjoyable, like sensory wise.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe it depends on what kind of hair they have, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the buzz cut, that's fine. I just personally, one of the features I like on people is hair, and I like their hair to be longer.
I agree with you. You can imagine whatever you want.
Well, it took me right back to like when like Adam Driver was in the military, right? He was a Marine.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's where my mind went. I'm like, okay, so she's envisioning Adam Driver as a Marine.
But like his little ears.
yeah,
I mean, they're not
know.
little at all. But
Well, I mean, are they like the right shape and proportion to his head?
Yeah, maybe they're normal sized ears and just everything else is huge on 'em.
maybe
It makes me think
everything
too
else
much.
is huge on
Yeah,
him.
this is why I'm like, I need this man to have longer hair. It works better for
No,
me.
he looks
personally.
better with longer hair.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Sorry, Adam, if you're listening.
I'm sure he is, and just weeping.
Yeah,
These
fuck
three
off with your
girls.
tiny ears.
Okay. So, all right, we're going to go into chapter 1 now. It's like, what, we're 19
20
minutes in. We
yeah.
can do this. Okay, chapter 1. We now flash back 6 weeks before the ceremony. We see Misery working at a startup with humans, dealing with creepy computer science guys and making them mad when she penetrates their new firewalls within 20 minutes. She is like a white hat hacker, basically. So a vampire lady named Vanya, who is Misery's dad's head guard, appears to tell her she's been called by her father to the nest. This is unprecedented since Misery has been out of touch with vampires for years and has been in the human world. Vanya blows Misery's cover that they're vampires, and all the tech bros erupt into a comical panic. There's like running and like freaking out and crying.
They like run into cubicles.
They do. Like plants get like destroyed. It's just, it's interesting. And then, so they basically like then sashay out of the startup. The nest is an ultra modern mirror skyscraper that lights up at night and is probably a bird murder machine. Vampires in this book are sleek and minimalist, and they are definitely not gothic or into coffins.
Lame.
Yeah. So no velvet, no bat artwork. The nest is the vampire community, and the super wealthy have penthouses there, like Misery's family.
This is exactly how I picture like Scientology looking.
Yeah.
I know they have that one building in LA that everyone knows about, but
Yeah, people say it's like super duper clean inside too, which is how I imagine all of this.
Important fact, vampires can be born like humans. They are not immortal. They age and die like everyone else. So there's no like bitey turning you into a vampire in this book. Just like wares are not working the same way. They are all biological creatures. They are not supernatural. So it's all biological here. This is an Ali Hazelwood book, and we believe in evolution.
yeah, they're only supernatural. They have like weird. Werewolves can morph though, can't they?
Yeah.
The wares, can morph into werewolves.
Yes, they can. They morph into wares, and vampires have a super special ability that they can do. But
She did not explain the science
No.
I mean,
behind that.
usually werewolves, like, I would say the best form it takes is that they have a human form, a wolf form, and then like an in-between form.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times it's just human or wolf.
Yeah. To be honest, most Omegaverses that I've read in the Raylo world, they don't morph at all.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I've encountered that too.
Yeah, but then it's more of like the weird breeding kink thing, not
Yes.
like the monster
Yeah, then
romance.
it's just like, okay, so you're just like humans with that like smell weird sometimes.
Yeah, but to certain people. Like some people are really into your BO, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but the way she describes it here, so there's basically 3 humanoid evolutionary tracks: werewolf, vampires, and humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they all evolve differently and are
None of them get along.
no.
But humans control everything, even though they're afraid of the wares
Humans-
and the vampires.
Humans drastically outnumber the other 2 groups.
Yeah, and they have a military, which I guess
Yeah.
the other 2 didn't manage to get. Yeah. Okay, so they are also living in something called the city, and more importantly, north in the city. Wares live in the south side of the river that separates it, and they live so close together to remember and remind them of danger.
What state do you picture this taking place in?
I always thought Arizona, and the city itself was Phoenix.
Which is really interesting considering vampires can't go out to the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in this one they can't.
They can't,
but they
yeah.
talk about, maybe I just don't know much about Arizona, but they talk about a forest.
I know.
So that's why I mean, not to say that everything boils down to Twilight, but I picture this taking place in the Pacific Northwest.
So, yeah, I know his friend lives in the Pacific Northwest. That's what he was saying. So, Poe Dameron lives up in Oregon.
He does.
And he said it was the Pacific Northwest. And they say somewhere also that they are in the Southwestern Territory.
Yeah.
So that's
I
where
ignored that.
I was just like, it has to be Phoenix. And I was like, I don't know why I think that. But
See, I was thinking British Columbia, so Pacific Northwest. Maybe they mean the southwest of Canada.
Maybe they don't say if it takes place in. Well, they have governors in Canada.
I have no idea what's going on in Canada.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm trying to remember if they say anything about it taking place in America.
Maybe they have dukedom still.
yeah.
I do not think they have dukedoms.
Okay, so the theme here is that vampires have a definite good of the many outweighs the good of the few thing going on. And the deal with that is her dad tells her that the humans have elected a new governor who won't talk to him and is suspending the collateral program, which Misery was a vampire collateral as a child. This is when they basically, between the two groups, they swap out a child. So if anything were to happen, they will immediately kill the child that's being held in the collateral program to keep war from breaking out.
Yeah, isn't it? They have to live with the humans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So a were child and a vampire child have to live with the humans for maybe 10 years.
I
until
believe
they become 18.
Yeah,
and
until
then
they
a
are
new
of age.
child gets sent.
Yes. Exactly. So this collateral program has been existing for years that keep vampires and humans on the same side and wares on the outs. And this is the whole good of the many outweighs the good of the few thing. Everybody in the vampire community is well off because we've sacrificed you, this one important child, to go live with the humans.
Yeah, that's a Vulcan phrase from Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
I can see that.
we can go on. I don't need to talk about Star Trek all the time.
Yeah.
I will mention it again later.
I think this is going to be a trend. You're going to talk about Star Trek every time, and I'm going to talk about Twilight.
Yeah.
But the question is, what does Maura talk about every time?
It's going to be a question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find out. All right.
Maybe
So
your thing will be horses.
well, it already has been. I think I've mentioned horses in every single one of these episodes.
Not yet here.
There's always an opportunity. And I think we've already just passed it, haven't we?
Damn it.
All right, so weirdly, vampires look down on Misery for being this collateral child. They call her a fameless traitor, which is kind of weird because the whole good of the many outweighs the good of the few type thing, right? So it's just one of those things.
It's pretty weird that they look down on her for it because, number one, she was a child at the time. It's not like she had agency in this.
Yeah, she was told to do it. She couldn't just not do it.
Yeah, and what it meant was that she grew up not knowing vampire culture, so now that she's back in her culture, well, she was briefly before she went back to live with the humans, it meant she was an outsider, but I don't know, it just seems needlessly shitty of vampires to treat them like this.
It was. It's just crappy of them. The new governor not talking to the vampires is a problem since humans are allied with vampires and not wares, and this new governor seems to be warming up to the wares instead of the vampires, and Daddy doesn't like this.
Just hate that you call him Daddy.
I do. I wouldn't be calling him Daddy the rest of the time because it bothers Emma.
The new governor feels very Democrat coded. I don't know how, but she just does. And then the previous governor just seems very career politician, which is always Republican coded, even though I know there's career politicians, Democrats out there. But
yeah, there's definitely some coding going on. The new Democrat is a woman and Latina, and obviously wants to shake things up. So I think she's kind of Democrat coded just generally. Okay, so meanwhile, there's a new alpha in charge of the wares, and he thinks there can be peace. Then Daddy is like, there's going to be a wedding because they can't risk Ware's allying with humans and be left out of the equation. Vampires are at risk of extinction because they don't breed easily. So they're setting up
Like
a collateral.
pandas that way.
Yeah, they're very much like pandas. Yeah, they're like, what do you call it? The evolutionary dead end.
Yeah. But isn't it just like pandas don't? I don't know actually what pandas have going on. Never mind.
Just came right in there with something about pandas and then he just gave up immediately. So they're setting up a collateral exchange with the Wares, and surprise, Misery is collateral again. Misery refuses, but then Dad says the alpha's name, which is Lo Moreland, and she has an immediate 180 crazy fast change of heart. She is going to get married to this man. So back in the present day, Misery is at her wedding reception, and she learns that her new husband's mate was actually traded for her as collateral. A fight starts to break out between some toddlers over a toy, but Lo breaks it up. He's got such good dad energy for a murderer. He and Misery have an awkward stand next to each other moment where she makes a joke and he's like, did you just joke about your people eating my people? And she's like, yeah, damn it.
Yeah, they have like a cute little bonding moment, but he does like the most cringe thing ever. And I can't believe you didn't mention it. He like finger guns her at one point.
Yeah, and I completely forgot that it happened. I think in my mind, I attributed that to her, not him, because it seemed more of a Misery thing to do.
Yeah, it does. But he is like making fun of how stupid her name is, rightfully so. And she kind of like does a little play on words. He's like, well, still as a name, it's very, and she says, miserable. And then he finger guns her.
Yeah. Yeah. That is just a really out of character thing for him to do.
Yeah.
It's way more a Misery thing.
For sure.
Okay. She hints that Lo and her ex-best friend, the human Serena, have a past, and that is why we're here and she is doing this. Then it's first dance time. She asks him if she smells like a sewer, and he parries back that he asks why her father hates her.
I just don't understand why they bother with these traditions. Like at the beginning of the wedding, they say that weddings are really just a human thing. They don't really do them in their own culture. So like, why have the wedding? And then why have the weird stuff you have to do in a wedding, like a first dance?
So there's a lot of good questions about why have the wedding at all, but we'll get there. Go.
Yeah.
Emma,
Aren't there like humans there, like besides the governor, aren't they kind of like putting on a show for the humans a little bit? Like that's why they're doing
that's
this.
why they're doing the wedding.
It's mainly for the humans.
Well, I guess that's why they do the first dance. I still think it's stupid.
I mean, I think the first dance is stupid, period. Sorry to people married out there, but like,
excuse
I'm
you?
glad that you have this nice moment, but I just feel weird watching it. Unless like you're doing a really funny choreographed dance, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I feel about most weddings. Is like, I'm happy for you, but I don't know why I got to see this.
Yeah. Well, now that they've brought in the weird, like, we're going to put the man and put him in a chair, and the wife,
God, I
wife
hate
is going to
that.
do the weird sexy
Oh,
dance.
yeah.
for him.
Luckily, none of my friends do that. I mean, I don't know if I would be friends with someone who does that, but it's so
I hate
gross.
that so
Or
much.
like the garter thing where they go under her dress and like peel
Yeah.
it off with their teeth.
Ew.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
You haven't seen that?
I have not seen that particularly.
And then they
but-
like slingshot it, like
Oh,
rubber
yeah.
band slingshot it out to their
Sure.
guys.
I don't like the garter thing. I've never liked it.
No.
You know, I
But-
caught the bouquet at a wedding once.
Oh my God! Congratulations.
How's that going for you, Tabitha?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It was a Halloween themed wedding, and
That's
it
cool.
had a fake hand in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So while they're dancing, she has her first Adam Driver moment, and she says, "His face is so not handsome, even though it is, but striking, all-consuming, like he invented bone structure." And I was like, "Bing, bing, bing!
Yep,
Adam
that's-
Driver, Adam Driver, Adam Driver."
That's an Adam Driver right there.
I was like convinced this was her trying to write outside of Adam Driver, and then receipts were pulled, and I was proven wrong. A lot of all caps was
Yeah.
written in the
And
notes
the
here.
most epic Notion fight that we could have ever had.
I deleted the evidence
She
of it.
did.
It was
so sad.
I was ashamed. Okay, I thought I was right for once, just proven to be wrong again and
You have-
again.
no, that's. Oh my God, you've been
Like
right
I-
so many times.
And like I said earlier, if you want to imagine somebody else, feel free.
Exactly. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and I'm pretending that she's trying to be better here.
Okay, the two have a talk on the dance floor talking about where Misery thinks she belongs, which is clearly nowhere because no one will claim her, and she lived with the humans willingly, which isn't allowed. There's a suggestion that she has plans that involve Serena's past with Lo. Then a waiter tries to kill
human
her.
waiter.
Yes, a human waiter tries to kill her, and Lo stops him all dramatically and tells her that they're going to spend the entire marriage apart before stalking away. Misery moves in. She wakes up to a small child pestering her. This is Anna, Lo's little sister.
We're going to talk about this later, but like, I don't think Ali Hazelwood has ever met a child before. Like, Anna is just straight up cute chaos, but she doesn't act like a child of her age should act. And again, we'll talk about it more, but just meet children, Ali.
Yeah. So Anna
Or don't include them, even better.
Yeah, I mean, that too, but
true.
she's plot relevant.
Okay, when
Yeah,
Anna
she
showed
is.
up, who was scared that this kid was like the daughter of Lo?
Yes.
I wasn't scared. I was
scared.
Oh.
I was
scared.
like, no, this isn't happening. This is going to ruin my life.
Oh, but
Well, the fact
but
it's
Adam
his
Driver has a child.
Well, good,
That's
good for
fine. That's
him.
great. I have no problem with that. In his personal life, he's allowed to have children, but in my private life, in books, he cannot.
Well, to me, it's very obvious that she wanted this character to have like daddy energy,
Yeah.
but didn't actually want to give him a kid because that would be too complicated.
Yeah, and that would be like a total turnoff for me personally.
I would have been fine with it, Ali. You let me
I
contact
think
me.
it's a turnoff for a lot of women. Yeah, I think it would have been a hard choice to make Anna his child because there are so many straight women, I think, who would read that and think, I don't want to be a stepmom.
Yeah,
Like, that is such a thankless job.
It is, yes.
Yeah, to be honest, when I'm on the dating apps, I like hesitate a long time. If I see a guy with a kid, I'm like, what's the situation? If you're a widow, put that on there. Let me know.
Well,
I might swipe right then. Like, it can work. Like,
Yeah, it
when I
can
was a
work,
teacher,
but
there
it's
were
so
like
risky.
there were good step parent families and kind of like blended families. There were a lot that worked well, but there's so many that work poorly, and they just seem to work in men's favor.
It's just like I think a fundamental fear,
yeah.
and that's
I
that's
think-
where it was like, if this man is going to have a kid,
Make him a widow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
know.
think if you have a romance where one of the people has kids from a previous relationship, that needs to be the sort of
Tension.
primary tension.
Yeah.
Not like in this book where the tension is something else entirely.
Yeah.
So I think to shortcut that, give him daddy energy, but not make it weird. She made it a brother and sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did think about this though. He's like more than 10 years older than her.
Yes.
Is that just
Yeah.
like a weird wear thing? Like, I mean, because his mom must have been quite old when that happened, when she got pregnant
I mean,
again.
it can
Probably.
happen.
So is this just tying it? I mean, again, this is me absolutely overthinking her books, but
Yeah, I think it was probably one of the situations where she was quite young when she had him, and then
teen mom.
Yeah.
probably.
They also don't really say anything about the longevity of werewolves. They
No,
might
they
have
don't.
longer
They don't.
lifespans.
They don't say anything
Yeah.
about that. Yeah,
Do they say anything about the vampire lifespan?
that's just normal.
Yeah,
that's
just
why
that they're-
Yeah. But I feel like that was more to talk about the fact that vampires are usually immortal.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Take us back.
All right. So Juno, some mad lady, comes in to tell Misery that she can't talk to anybody or ask any questions or go anywhere unsupervised for the entire year that they will be together in this home, which brought up a lot of questions to me. I'm like, okay, wait, you only have to be together for a year. So why did you get married?
Yeah.
Any questions? Any
On my second read, I tried to work this out. Like, I tried to pay more attention to how the actual setup happened, and it still really doesn't make a lot of sense to me because there was a vampire sent to Werewolf Town, and there was a werewolf sent to Vampire Town. But why didn't the werewolf who went to Vampire Town have to marry a vampire?
Yeah, it was so weird.
I was hoping it was going to be like a dual romance book.
Yeah.
Like like Misery and Lo had to get married because I was like part of the deal, but somehow they had, compromised that the were going to the vampire territory didn't have to get married. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was really an odd kind of addendum to the whole, you're going to get married to
Yeah.
him.
I also
It's going to be forever if you don't kill each other. Also, it only has to be a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking back, I thought this was supposed to be like, you guys will get married, and then if you do it successfully, we won't like do the collateral program with kids. But I don't think that's ever said. I didn't read it the
it's
second
not.
time.
Yeah, it was just really weird. Like, you're going to get married to him, but you only have to live with him for a year. I was like, that's not how marriage works. I don't.
I mean, for some people it does.
Like, yeah, but
Kim
like,
Kardashian did it 74 days.
yes, that's true. But I mean, when you really like drill down into it, they do say like, we're going, and then we vowed to love each other forever. That was like the end of the prologue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, but only for a year.
Yeah.
So
Asterisks.
I just didn't really get that. So I remain confused. And all right, so Then we get some backstory on Serena. Serena is kind of like Misery's adopted sister. She is a human, and she was living with Misery during her time as collateral with the humans, mainly to keep Misery calm. But they continue to be friends into adulthood, and they live together for some time. They're kind of like roomies. And then they kind of just started to fall out. And so at some point they fought, and then Serena disappeared. No one is interested in finding her, even though she is an investigative journalist, and surely her newspaper should be interested in her disappearance, but whoa, only Misery cares. She finds a bit of Serena's planner being batted around by her new cat, and on it is written a cipher that says L.E. Moreland. And Misery is sure that Serena is connected to Lowe somehow, which is why she married him. A were named Alex gives Misery a tour of the house she's staying in. Alex is a Lowe fanboy. He says Lowe is the most powerful were I've ever seen, and that my grandfather has ever seen, and he's seen many alphas. It's so Rassand, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but to be a huge nerd right here,
go for it.
This is like super common in the Kylo Ren fanfiction world, because they have to like explain how he has like the Knights of Ren that follow him, and like why Snoke like picked him to be, you know, the biggest and baddest. And it's because he's the biggest and baddest. He's the strongest Jedi they've ever seen. Well, I guess Sith. But so I feel like that's kind of her like explanation of this line.
I love Alex. What a sweet boy.
He was super cute, like a golden retriever.
Yeah, very much.
So Misery is like, oh, where is Lowe's office? All innocent like. And Alex immediately tells her to be helpful. It turns out that Misery has been searching for L.E. Moreland for weeks. She's been hacking her way through the internet to find information, and she only really found out that Lowe and the new governor were at the same event when Serena went missing, so she kind of is connecting the two. Misery wants to get in front of a computer in Were territory so she can hack into their system and learn all she can about where Serena might be. While she's contemplating this, she meets a kid named Max in the hallway, and Max is kind of an angsty teen who gets all frothy at the mouth when he sees her and attacks. Misery has to defend herself, and Lowe breaks it up.
Yes, I know. They won't let her have any technology while she's here.
None of that.
Like, not even on the internet.
No, she's allowed nothing. So Misery is like, dude tried to kill me. And the Wares are like, did he though? Lowe pulls her into his office and questions her with Juno. Misery lets them know that Max told her he didn't think Lowe was loyal, which means something to him and Juno that Misery doesn't understand. Loyal with a capital L is apparently a separatist movement in Were culture that follows the late Alpha that Lowe killed when he challenged him for leadership of the pack.
Yeah, this is like a pretty common trope in like Omegaverse, or I guess more specifically werewolf fan fiction that I've read. So like the stronger alpha comes in and like defeats the other alpha. Usually they die, but when they don't, you know, because Kylo Ren is a character who's supposed to like, he's not supposed to murder everyone. The people who are that like the previous alpha more will like rebel, and that's like a very easy line of tension in the stories. So I think that's where this is, why this is here.
Okay. So Lowe tells Gino to get out, and he tells Misery that she's under his protection and under his authority. Then he tells her to behave. There's another issue with her scent, which she's still affecting him, and Misery is completely clueless about it. He tells her that her cat is welcome in his home, though, so everything is going to be cool with that. They have a cat now.
So one of the things in Ali Hazelwood books is that is a common theme is my female protagonist doesn't understand what's happening. And it can be frustrating in some of the other books because the male lead will be looking at them like visibly sweaty with hearts in their eyes. And they'll be like, I think he hates me. But this is one I actually get. Like, they are literally different and hostile species. So, of course, she doesn't understand what his reaction means.
And they all have a lot of stereotypes about each other, too, that they believe. So there's a lot of, like, cleaning up, like, things that they think that are not true. And so she doesn't understand mostly anything or why he acts the way he acts around her. It's all very believable. And if you think about them being different species that hate each other and don't really know much about each other. Misery gets a security detail. She doesn't have access to the internet, like we said. So this is torture to a hacker. She's allowed a video call with her brother, and they speak in code about Serena. Owen is helping her look for Serena on the outside. And then Anna crawls into her room at night.
This is where I think Allie slips in a little tribute to Twilight, because Misery says to Anna, does your brother know you've been climbing like a spider monkey? Which, Who the fuck uses Spider Monkey unless you're talking about Twilight?
You absolutely are correct.
Thank
She
you.
is a Twilight fangirl, and if you read Love Theoretically, there's a huge Twilight component to it. Huge.
I have to read it now.
Yeah, you have to. You really do.
And I can't be a true Ali Hazelwood fan without.
Oh yeah, that's
reading
right.
all of
They
her
have
books.
sex while watching Twilight.
They do.
That's wild.
Yeah, for like 3 chapters.
Yeah.
It goes on for a long time.
Yeah. It does.
Which movie?
The first one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Misery JavaScripts Anna a game to play on her internetless computer, and they bond. Anna tells her that Lo doesn't sleep and that he has pneumonia, and in true Ali Hazelwood MC form, Misery accepts this as fact and doesn't use her critical thinking skills to assume Anna meant insomnia. But, whatever. More importantly, Anna also told her that Lo is gone for the night, so she decides it's the perfect time to snoop.
All right, so we could mention again that Anna is not behaving appropriately for her age. No. She is 7 years old, and she is behaving more like what even I know as somebody without children is appropriate for a toddler.
Yeah. She acts more like she's a 4-year-old, and as the owner of a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, I can tell you.
An owner.
A keeper.
Yep, a keeper of these 6-year-olds and 4-year-olds. She's acting definitely more on the 4-year-old end.
Yeah. She is like, Allie writes her as if she's a child who's going to say like Paschetti instead of spaghetti.
Yes.
Like she speaks in like nice long sentences and like usually says everything correctly and then somehow mixes up insomnia with pneumonia.
Yeah, pneumonia, which is not.
Well, also like counts on her fingers. Like when they ask her how old she is, she holds up her fingers, which is.
And she holds up the wrong one. She holds up like 6 and she's supposed to do 7.
Yeah. Well, that's another point, is that Anna's not really getting any sort of formal education.
Say, is she homeschooled?
I think she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would make sense. Okay, so Misery breaks into Lo's bedroom with a bobby pin. And for as amazing as where security is, locks are truly not their strong point. She rifles through all of his shit and touches practically everything, not remembering that he has an above normal reaction to her scent. Then she breaks into his dresser drawer where he keeps his architectural drawings because he is an architect, and finds a lovingly detailed portrait that he himself has done in pencil of her, which is not telling at all.
No, she doesn't think anything of it. She's like, that's kind of weird.
Oh, no, you know what she does do? She's just like, he must hate me so much.
Yeah,
like,
this beautifully sketched
okay.
in like charcoal portrait of me, which is, not romantic or intimate at all, is obviously a sign that this man thinks I'm a sinky bitch.
Yep. She doesn't get it at all. I'm just like, Misery. Okay, just calm. It's going to be fine. Okay. The next day, there's a barbecue, and Misery sleeps in, like she always does. Wakes up to see this party going on and sees Max acting kind of shifty by the tree line. Then he basically absconds with Anna into the wood, and no one seems to notice this. So she takes it upon herself to follow him into the sun. So she's burning up. Like it's not going to kill her really, but she's definitely reacting to the sun. When she reaches Max, all of Lo's wares leap out of hiding. And everyone's like, what the fuck? They're basically about to waterboard Max to see who he's talking to. Although, important relationship note, Lo gives Misery his hoodie because she's cold. Then Misery steps in to help. She can thrall people, which is like the one supernatural thing that vampires can do. She puts him in this thrall and he starts talking kind of like in a trance. And Max reveals that he took Anna as leverage to force Lo to step down as alpha. The mate of Roscoe, who was the previous alpha, Emery, appears to be behind it.
Okay, but also in this scene, Max spits on Misery and Lo gets big mad about it. He grabs him and says, "Apologize to my wife."
I know, isn't that great? Love it.
I read that. That one, John Mulaney. That's my wife.
Okay, so Lo dismisses Misery after accidentally feeling her up to retrieve his cell phone from the hoodie that she's wearing. And her guard tells her that Lo was never going to hurt Max, who is only 15. He was just going to use some psychological persuasion, which I guess is like the new light torture. Misery finds time to break into Lo's office and use his computer. She starts searching for Serena, but her search is interrupted by a gray wolf rubbing against her leg. And here's another fun Ali Hazelwood turn of phrase. She says, "This wolf's fangs could win contests, rule civilizations, get their owners engaged, married, and very much laid at a vampire party, and they could shred me into M&Ms." Which, what does that mean, Ali?
Oh man, English isn't her first language. Give her a break.
But like,
It is weird though.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually heard her speak English, like talk in English.
I've never seen her speak at all. No.
No, I haven't either.
For as obsessed as I am with her, I've never seen her speak.
Yeah, maybe that's why she doesn't. But usually you don't like mix up metaphors unless you're pretty new to learning another language. Unless it's like a super specific like cultural one. So like maybe this is a shred me to M&M's is a metaphor, idiom,
Yeah.
whatever in Italian, because I think she was born in Italy, right?
I
Yeah.
think probably
Yeah.
what happened is that she put a lot of placer like idioms in there and
Oh.
like cliches, and
Yeah.
then and her editor was probably like, "That's a cliche, Ali, change it."
Are
And
you
she's
not
like,
allowed to put those in writing? Like,
I mean, you can, but it's considered not great when you do it because people are like, "Ugh, boring."
so we make up our owns.
Mm-hmm. So she was probably like, either take it out or change it somehow. So
Yeah.
she
And
probably,
And she
just-
probably thought, what else is small?
yeah. What else is small?
But-
M&M's, ribbons. It's very similar.
Shred to M&M's.
Yeah.
Have you ever shredded an M&M? Maybe like because you chew M&Ms.
I mean, maybe.
I'm just trying to understand her logic here.
I don't think there was much.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Anyway, the wolf is Cal, one of Lo's seconds. He has like a dozen seconds, so he's just one of the important werewolves. Lo is there in the doorway and is like, "What the fuck are you doing, wife?" He says "wife" a lot, and that's a turn on every time.
Yeah.
Lo tells her that she's bad at snooping around, which, duh. He tells her that his bed smells like she slept in it, and, obviously.
That's super sexy in
Yes,
werewolf world.
also hot. Okay, so Alex is the Where IT guy, and he deduces that Misery cracked into their servers. He tells Lo what she was looking for, and Lo's like, "Who's Serena?" So now Misery has to decide if he's pretending or he really doesn't know, and for the love of God. So Lo says she's breaking the armistice and accuses her of doing something to her smell to distract him. She says what she's doing has nothing to do with the vampires, and then she gets all distracted by how good his blood smells. She's like literally like, "Ugh, good blood."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where I thought maybe there was going to be like a secret Omega trope. Because usually in these fan fictions that I've read, specifically the Raylo ones, because Ray is like an orphan, she usually like doesn't know that she's an Omega. So then she becomes like, she's a secret Omega whenever she presents.
Yeah, like I was also waiting
So,
for that. I was
yeah.
waiting for her to be a secret Omega.
And this is usually where you start getting hints of it, like some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh wow, he smells like way better than everyone else. That's so weird. He just
Right.
like must not be on like pheromone blockers." I can't
So
believe
I
I'm
think-
saying this into a microphone.
It was going to happen eventually. It's only a matter of time.
But yeah, I was overthinking it again.
I mean, I think like was kind of starting to say that like vampires also have bonds and they can create them as well through the blood.
Yeah,
But it never really goes fully into that alpha omega that we were anticipating.
I was a little disappointed.
Yeah. So, okay, she tells him everything. Then she finds out that Anna's name is actually Liliana Esther Moreland, i.e. L.E. Moreland, the name that Serena had on her planner. Lo and Misery retire to the kitchen to talk. Lo decides to trust Misery and work together to figure out how Anna and Serena are connected. And then we get another little dumb detail from Ali. She says that Misery first tried to file off her fangs with a cheese grater, which seems most impossible and exactly like something one of her vampires would do.
It's very body horror.
Yeah.
But she did it because she was living with the humans.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a human who had to get my teeth grated.
Gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, like Misery learns a few things about Anna, and that Anna's dad is in fact human, and her mom is aware. So she's Lo's half sister, and she's a hybrid, so she's unable to shift, but she's showing characteristics of Wares. Lo is worried about what Roscoe would do when he found out about Anna, so he challenged him and won, and then he beat all the subsequent loyalist challenges, and then he stopped taking challenges because he's like, this is just too much death. So then the loyalists went off and they formed a separatist group. So now he's concerned that if Serena knew what Anna is, then there's no telling who else does. Now, there's another important detail. Misery is addicted to peanut butter. And vampires don't eat food, but Serena introduced it to her, and it's the one thing that she can't, like, not resist, and she loves it, and she feels kind of bad about it, strangely. So this is another one of those things about her.
She makes a comment that their molars are mostly vestigial, so they technically can eat, smooth things. And I assume that detail is in there so that we think of vampires in this world as having a full set of teeth and not toothless.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 6 days pass. They haven't found much, and Lo leaves on pack business. Misery and Juno wind up talking while Juno is freaking naked, just totally naked.
But she's naked because she just
she just like
transferred back into a human, which is something that happens in Twilight. To talk about it again.
Yeah. Juno apologizes to her for being so mean, and then they kind of bury the hatchet. Juno also tells her that Lo was sent away when he was 12 and didn't come back until he challenged Roscoe, so he's still kind of new to everything. They have these parallel backgrounds, right? Like they were both sent away from what they know, what they belong with. So Juno seems to suggest that Gabrielle, this other collateral, is in fact Lo's mate, and so now she has that to think about all the time. Anna finds Misery reading in her closet because that's where Misery sleeps. We're given nothing about this until the very end, like why she's in this closet.
I think it's just darker.
Yeah. We have to assume that, though. It's not told to us.
Because she has to sleep in the daytime.
Yeah, she sleeps in the daytime, and she definitely sleeps over the noon hour. So, all right. So then Anna finds her and torches her hair. Lo finds them in like a calm sort of rage because he didn't know where Anna was. But he sees Misery kind of gripping this stolen knife and like ready to cut a bitch for this kid. So he's like, okay, this I can work with this. And then he just tells Misery that she needs to steal a sharper knife, which I'm like, I like this guy. This is when I was like, okay, cool, I can work with you.
It shows that she can be motherly too.
Stop it! You're ruining the book for me.
I mean, Misery talks basically up until like almost the end that she like hates kids.
She does, yes.
She's like they're gross and grimy and blech.
And she's constantly just like treating Anna like an adult,
Anna,
and she's like,
away.
yeah, it's great. Love
Anna's
it.
like, let's hang out. Let me braid your hair, and she's like, don't touch me.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
Everything about it's great. Okay. Alex tries to teach Lo to code, which genuinely made me snort laugh. Lo is not a coder and wants to punch the computer, so Alex is over there like chanting, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and trying not to cry, which I was imagining this in my head and just loving it. They pause to eat dinner, which is basically Misery's first family dinner ever, since she started to accumulate friendly experiences with Lo's pack. Then Lo does some big adoptive brother, adoptive father shit with Anna, and that made me think Adam Driver and not stop thinking about it. Like, he's just such a good dad.
Yeah, I mean, I know I say I swipe left on people who have kids, but a man who's good with kids, like,
I know.
It's a trope I'm behind.
It's good. I mean, like I said,
it does nothing for me.
Yeah. So I mean, I was previously just like, absolutely not. We're not doing this right now. But then I was like, God damn it, Adam Driver. Got me. It was just awful. Okay, so the dinner conversation is that Lo is going to Emery's house in California upon her invitation. It's some where meeting. Everyone thinks it's a trap, and Lo is going to find some hard proof that Emery was the one trying to kidnap Anna, which is why he needed to learn some code. Misery goes up on the roof when Lo shows up, and she says she knows his plan. He's going to plant some spyware to monitor Emery's communications. And she says she has to go with him because he has a death wish. And I'm like, yes, for Christ's sake, please get to the kissing part now. This is chapter 13, you guys. We need to continue to go. So a damning observation of Misery's is you type Google into the Google bar to start a new search, which, ouch. But also, this dude is in his 20s and an architect, so there's no way he doesn't know how to use AutoCAD. So they have this long conversation on the roof where he inadvertently calls her beautiful, and we're really inching towards kissing because he wants to see her fangs, and she obliges. Then she tells him about her fight with Serena, which was about Serena wanting Misery to care about something other than her. And then she demands to know what a mate is. So we're kind of getting somewhere now, and I'm like, oh my god, maybe now. And he tells her there are physiological changes involved with meeting one's mate. And then Ali takes it away. She's like, nope, you can't have this now. Misery asks him if that's how he felt when he met his mate, and he looks at her uncomfortably long and says, yes. They have this long discussion that eventually turns around to Misery getting her way and going with him to Emery's, but he has a condition. She has to be marked.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I also have to say briefly, there was a moment there where he was telling her about like trying to figure out how to parent Anna. And he said that I let her watch The Exorcist because she'll definitely relate to the main character who is a girl. And I'm like, dude, no.
I do not remember that line at all, but that's definitely red flag.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Just like watch Hotel Transylvania.
I know. Like, did you look at
Great
The Exorcist?
movies,
Like,
still more age
do
appropriate.
you know what The Exorcist is about? Did you think to yourself, The Exorcist? Oh yeah, totally perfect for a 6-year-old.
Also, interesting to think about the fact The Exorcist exists in this world.
Yeah,
True.
That's very
And
good
that he
point.
made the conscious decision to
Like,
show her.
Do
Yeah.
you think Dracula's story exists in this
No,
world?
I would love it if it did.
That's such a good point.
Okay, so obviously Lo owns a Cessna and is a pilot.
I mean,
course.
he can't be a love interest if he isn't rich.
I know, right? So obviously.
Also, hyper competent at everything.
Yeah,
Oh
very
yeah,
competent.
he flies it.
Yeah, he does. He flies
Well,
it himself.
You did say he was a pilot.
Yes. So they are in the process of landing the plane when he starts to tell her that they need to send a nonverbal message to Emery. That she can't mess with Misery. I'm sorry, Emma's over there pumping her fist, and it's very distracting. Misery makes a joke about if that means she'll have to pretend she can tell Art Deco from Gothic, and he gets so offended that she can't tell if she's joking. This is why I love Ali Hazelwood. I'm like, great detail, Ali.
I mean, there is a
perfect.
big difference.
Yeah,
between
there
those
is.
two.
There's a huge one. He literally stops flying the plane to look at her like, what the hell are you talking about? She's like, it's a joke, Lo, okay? Gothic and Art Deco are very different. Okay, so he says that they have to smell the same. And you know where this is going, right? It involves skin to skin and tongues. He starts nuzzling her neck, and she apologizes about her scent, and he says, I fucking love your scent.
Yeah, because she like is convinced that he thinks that she smells like ass.
Yeah.
So she's like been taking baths every night. Like, I mean, that's weird for me because if you know me, you know I'm not a person who showers every day.
She's filthy.
No, she's got curly hair. It's
Yeah.
hard when you got curly
No,
hair. You can't wash it every day.
Thank you. I don't shower every day. I shower like every other day, and that involves washing my hair too. But like she like fully bathes in a bath.
Yeah.
Every day.
Like I said, I'm not a bath person.
I
It's
love
just like
baths.
human soup.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate baths. It makes my heart
Well, you have
race.
to shower before you like get in there.
But that's like a hot tub or something. A bath is just a bath.
Yeah, I guess
No,
It's not effective for getting clean.
it's effective for being soothed.
I get bored.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like just love. I mean, I was on swim team. I just love being. I was gonna say.
I don't
being
like when my
wet.
skin gets pruny either. So
Yeah, it's all just the worst. So
Well, we can disagree.
yeah,
Yeah,
agree to
that's fair.
disagree. It's fine.
takes all kinds.
Continue on with the scenting.
All right, we're going to talk about the scenting now. He kisses and licks her neck and finally bites her, and it's super sexy. She admits that it's a sexual thing and not merely a disguise thing. Like she's pretty upfront with that. And then he tells her that she smells like she's his, which
Yeah, you have to understand that they have to make out
They
for
have to.
diplomacy and espionage reasons.
absolutely.
But like, it's not technically a make out. They don't kiss.
I mean, they're like slobbering on each other's necks.
I was gonna
so-
say,
Well,
I
first
think-
off, I don't think she slobbers on him. He only slobbers on her.
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
He
I think
does.
like
Yeah,
body fondling and licking, I also call making out.
I like to call it necking.
So like, if
Yeah.
I reached over, honked your boob, we made out.
Do you think that's the equivalent of what's happening here?
Well, you said body fondling. So like, if you just fondle someone's body, is that
I mean, okay,
technically?
so if you were to push me up against the wall, fondle me in multiple places, and lick my neck, yes, I would say, why is Emma suddenly making out with me? Not
now
to make
I have
it
that
weird.
in my head. I'm never going to be able to bleach
I'm
that
sorry.
out. Emery is basically a soccer mom, which is surprising to literally everyone. They have dinner and then are shown to their room, which has one bed, of course.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And then Allie just destroys all of my hopes when Misery says she'll sleep in the closet. I'm like, God damn it. Okay. So Misery finds out that Gabby is Lo's unrequited mate. She doesn't feel the same draw to Lo that he does to her. So this is sadly not to be. Or it seems like they're talking about Gabby, but it seems also more like he's talking about Misery, and Misery is doing the assumptions thing that all Ali Hazelwood characters do, except she does have a little bit more to go on this time. There's some character development talk about what you do for the people you love, and Misery lures him to sleep because that's what she used to do for Serena when she had insomnia. Lo has a really hard time sleeping because of the, immense amount of responsibility he now has. So, morning. Lo goes on a run, and Misery gets into the bath. he comes back and asks specifically if she is dressed, and she just kind of arranges the bubbles around a bit and says yes. He's half naked and sweaty because we all deserve nice things sometimes. And he basically goes in and fondles her ankle while talking about the plan for the night.
And I'm not in defeat, but like it was good.
It was good. Like I was like, I could do this for a while. So dinner time comes along, and Cohen, Lowe's friend from the Northwest Pack, who is again Poe Dameron, is there. And so Emery asks Lowe if an armistice with the humans isn't offensive to the memory of the Wares who were killed in all the wars, which is just a flat out insane position to have. It's just so boomer. I can't.
Yeah. Only solution is war forever.
Yeah, war forever. How dare you want peace at any point? It will just ruin the memory of all the people who died in the wars. So they go espionage in Emery's office under the pretense that Misery has to feed, and she needs to do this in private. Feeding is not a public dinner spectacle. Misery lets it be known that she thinks being called low maintenance is a compliment, and Lowe is like, that's super sad for you. Then he basically tells her she's beautiful, and then they get interrupted. So this is the perfect moment to just kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss.
He gives her like a whole speech in his like, being low maintenance is like not a compliment, which I kind of think it is, but whatever. She's like, it's the only compliment I've ever gotten, basically. And he's like, no, let me tell you all these. And he gives like a little speech about like how beautiful she is and how good she is at shit, and she's awesome and amazing. And then they should kiss. You're absolutely right. But Ali Hazelwood is truly dragging it out here, which I think makes it so much better. There's so much pining in this book.
Yeah.
It's
It is. It's really good. Like I
painful in
wanted
the
them to
best
kiss
way.
because I'm that person who just will not shut up about it. But I do appreciate in this book that she does draw it out a bit, because she's giving me a little bit of something, right?
Yeah,
like on the plane they do the sexy thing, and now they're about to do something else that's sexy.
We get
It's
the
just not going to be
ankle
kissing.
thing.
Yeah, we get the ankle thing.
Yeah.
It's not like some other books we've read where I feel like the characters need to kiss and they don't because the author just doesn't know what they're doing and they're dragging stuff out.
Yeah.
In this, it's
Some books that will remain nameless.
Yeah. In this, it's very clear that Ali she knows what she's doing, that she's like approaching that line of them almost kissing and then like, oh, it's just a tease. We're
She's
pulling
like,
back.
there are other things we can do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Misery suggests they kiss, to confuse the people that are interrupting them, like very like 1980s spy movie. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let's do that. But it was like, they think you're feeding, so feed from me. And I'm like, oh man, I'm simultaneously upset and dismayed and like really, really about this. So
That's great. Fantastic.
When he was like, you can
100.
feed from me instead, I was like, yes.
I was like, yep, let's do it. So she bites him, and the biting gets sexy, like super fast. It's like 0 to 60. He gets into it, and she was already into it. So then she starts climbing him like a squirrel and dry humping his erection, and she orgasms. Like,
This
right
is
there.
the first time she's ever fed from like a living creature.
Yeah. Yes. So I guess if we want to count.
Yeah, I guess that's her first
Should we
orgasm.
count? This is her first orgasm. Okay, orgasm number 1. So naturally,
And just from dry humping, I guess.
yeah, just the dry humping.
Impressive.
Naturally, the guards get the hell out of there. So after the biting and the orgasms, they're basically like very confused rabbits. Like they want to fuck, but they can't. And then he promises her that he would like to fuck her. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I kind of orgasmed on your pants.
Yeah. And like, I feel like she did, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but Ali did a really good job of making her kind of like naive
Yeah.
because of something, not
Right.
just like she's a young, dumb idiot.
Yeah.
Because her brother warns her later on when she's kind of like talking about this event ish with her brother. He's like, vampires don't feed from humans anymore. Like stop doing that.
Yeah.
And at this point, she doesn't know why they don't. She just knows that it's not common. They usually like feed from a bag, so she doesn't understand that this is kind of like maybe not good in vampire culture.
Yeah, so she's really confused about how to feed from someone else anyway.
Yeah.
And I think she did walk in on her dad feeding from someone once, and she was like, that was super weird. And then her brother was like, we're not, just don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting way that they set up her inability to understand things about the vampire world. So Emery shows up and is absolutely disgusted while Cohen is like, good job. Then he says something really cryptic, like, look how finding her made you. Yeah. So, okay. But then he totally kills the mood by saying, you've been urgently called home.
I'm still really distracted by the green blood. I just feel like it makes the nature of blood so different.
Yeah.
Also, can I talk about Star Trek again?
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the werewolf's blood in this is green, and the vampire's blood is purple. In Star Trek, Klingon's blood is like purpley pink, like a fuchsia color. And Vulcan's blood is green. And so that's all I could think throughout this. It's like, oh, it's like Vulcans and Klingons.
I think that might be kind of the point. Do you think that Ali Hazelwood is also in the Star Trek?
I think she is.
Yeah.
That would be fun for me.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense. I think she probably was going somewhere with.
But no, the green blood is a really well-established thing in Star Trek.
In the fan art.
Yeah, in a lot of the fan art, you will see Spock, if he's like blushing, he'll blush in a shade of green, or even just the undertone of his skin will be green, whereas Jim Kirk's will be pink, like a human.
I will say, every time she brought up the green blood, it like really took me out.
Yeah, same. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, like I couldn't envision it like the texture of blood.
Yeah.
Like, do y'all remember back in the 90s when they made that ketchup in different colors?
Yes.
That had a real fucked up texture to it. That's how I imagined it. It was like the green ketchup.
Colored ketchup. It's a monstrosity.
Yeah, it was.
Anna is sick. Everyone is panicking because wearers don't get sick, apparently, and neither do vampires, which seems a little like a stretch.
But if you know anything about Twilight, you know that werewolves don't get sick because they have a higher body heat. So like they like, I don't know, like burn up the sickness more, which I think is also why Misery's always so cold, because they probably keep like the air conditioning like on high.
They do. Yeah,
especially if they live in Arizona. So she's like, you know,
if this was a natural like evolutionary development, though, don't you feel like bacteria and viruses would have evolved with these species?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Do you think werewolf bulbs just hang lower?
Oh my god.
Or do you or do you think they just have like special heat resistant sperm?
Well,
I'm gonna go with the second.
I'm gonna say the second, because they've evolved to be this way. Also, you know, some animals do run hotter than humans, right? Like a lot of animals are like 100 some odd.
Were you about to say
normal.
horses?
I was, in fact, going to say horses. But a lot of other mammals do too. Like that's, you know, our body temperature is not all body temperature. So like, even if you said like, oh yeah, the werewolves run like 101 degrees. I'm like, well, let me tell you all the other animals that also run 101 degrees. That's just normal for them. Like lots of dogs, cats, like all of those animals.
I don't normally like take the temperature of animals I'm near. So sorry.
No, I mean, I don't either. But whenever I go to the vet, they're like, yeah, that's a normal temperature. And I'm like, wow, that's high. They're like, that's normal. But don't worry about it.
They don't tell me that. They just tell me my cat's fine.
Mick, who is the dude that's guarding Misery, says that he will take Anna to human territory to get treatment because, remember, Anna is a hybrid. But Misery convinces everyone to just let her write down some human medicine names that will help, because no one in this world really knows how to pronounce Tylenol correctly. Like they don't know how. Lo procures the medicines and seems to have beaten someone up for them, which is, I was unsure about that.
You know, first time I read this, I was kind of unsure about that. I was like, wow, that's an extreme reaction. But I had to buy Sudafed yesterday. And I felt like it was going to come to blows.
Yeah, you're like buying like illicit drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of are, but they act like it for sure. They're like, what's your ID? I'm like,
yeah.
And they're like, here's the one pill you may have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only carry like one type of it now at the pharmacy I was at.
So Anna's fever breaks. Everything's fine. She probably had like the flu or something. Lo is all emotionally wrecked though. So he goes to Misery for comfort and they hug it out. At that point, Misery has a FaceTime conversation with Owen, who tells her to stop feeding on Lo now because she'll catch feelings, and vampires don't do feelings. They're supposed to be feelingless baby makers with anyone who will sex them for the good of the species, and they can't afford bombs. Meanwhile, Misery and Alex try to find Anna's real father. Lo questions her about it, and she says maybe Anna's dad did know and told Serena. They're kind of talking this out, and she eats some peanut butter while they're having this conversation, and the conversation is just to them because, you know, they're not idiots. They're like, listen, there's something here. But before they can really get down to all the sexiness about it, she falls limp into his arms, just like a little vampire damsel.
Being a vampire fucking sucks in this universe. She can't even eat the peanut butter without feeling guilty because vampires believe that it's not dignified when vamps eat human food for fun. So, like, it's basically an entire race with an eating disorder.
Yeah, like they can't eat. They just think it's not dignified to do it.
They're like hyper minimalists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't feed directly from a person. You have to drink out of a bag. It has to be in private. You're not allowed to eat anything fun.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of Scientology, because I don't know anything about it, which I know is the point, but maybe they're supposed to be like Mormon coded.
Mm-hmm.
Like no caffeine, no alcohol, no anything. You have to wear like weird underwear, right? Sorry.
Well, it definitely has like a lot of extreme religious vibes.
Yeah.
Like you can't do this, you can't do
sure.
that. You're supposed to live this minimalist lifestyle and have sex with literally anyone who will have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a lot of rules that seem to be a little contrary to how people want to live.
Yeah.
All right, so they call a collateral doctor, which is a literal thing. There's a doctor for collaterals. And he appears and gives her a painkiller and says something about how her organism needs to deal with the poison that she's been given. And I had like a big moment there where I was just like, mini caps, like what the fuck is an organism and why is it being introduced here?
Yeah, they only say it this time and then like one other time.
And explain it at no point.
And like, what does this mean? Like, what do they mean by this? Because there's a way that they can go with this where it's like, is there something in them that makes them a vampire? Like, is it like being infected with a worm?
Yeah, I immediately thought that she had like something in her making her a vampire.
It almost feels like something that was maybe originally in this story that got taken out and they just didn't change these lines of dialogue.
Yeah, she didn't do a find function for organism. So, meanwhile, Lo has Anna taken away because he's too scared that the poison in the peanut butter could have been for her. The doctor puts Misery in a trance so that she can heal, and this lasts for several days. She kind of wakes up in a little stupor and finds a white wolf at her door. This wolf hilariously fetches her a pillow and makes her sleep in the closet so she's all comfy. And then they cuddle. The wolf is definitely Lo.
Yeah.
But...
I'm sorry, I just had a really funny thought.
What
if the wolf was like shaved because Lo has a buzz cut?
She actually...
Like he's like a naked
It
cat
was kind of a
up.
running joke for her, though. She was like, what color are you? Are you pink?
Yeah.
And he was just like, what the hell are you talking about?
I did think that was funny. He should be all black, but whatever.
I know. Well, I think she was just like, this is odd. I didn't expect white, but okay. So Misery wakes up again and finds Lo, and Lo gives her a bath. And then they finally kiss. Yes. So he fingers her in the tub. And then insists on going down on her in her closet because it's a wear thing. Like he literally says it's a wear thing. I must do this. It's of utmost importance. And so I'm like, yes, it is, Lo. And so he does that in the closet with her. And then I think he comes in his pants.
No, he absolutely does. Yeah.
So this is like, sex act number 2.
Yeah, we got 2
That's
dry
3
humps.
orgasms for her.
Does she think? I don't know if she orgasms in the bath. Does
Well,
she? Maybe she does.
can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, we've got 2 dry humpings, 1 fingering, and 1 oral.
Yeah. Ooh, this is getting very serious.
I also think the this is a werewolf thing is Ali trying to tie this to the pheromones, but also we haven't talked about this yet. But at the beginning of every chapter, there's those little I don't know subheadings, which are it makes the pining so much more painful, which is so good because it's obviously parts of the story from Lo's point of view. And in one of them, he says like, "I just know she tastes as good as she smells."
Yeah.
And then boom, he's proven right here.
He's got to do it.
Yeah. For example, at the beginning of chapter 21, she told him vampires do not dream, and yet once her midday rest is over and the evening approaches, her sleep becomes fitful, agitated. His touch seems to comfort her, and the thought fills him with pride and purpose.
There's also, I don't know which chapter it is because I didn't take notes on that, but there's also one where he talks about like he thinks about her whenever she's in the bath. I'm like, heck yeah. And also, he didn't change his sheets for forever, which is kind of gross, but like a weird werewolf thing because it smells
also
like.
very
we're gonna get to what he's up to about that.
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
So, right after all the coming in the pants, Owen calls, totally out of nowhere and just ruins the vibe. So, we also have to advance the external plot at this point because everything has been kind of sexy. So he tells that Misery that someone ransacked Serena's apartment. And that there's more that they have to say in person. So Lo and Misery pack up to meet Owen. Alex finds Anna's dad, and yes, he did speak to Serena, but he's dead, so they can't talk to him. He was, however, appointed by Governor Davenport, the previous human governor who was in the pocket of the vampires, and they are having dinner with him tomorrow, so they can ask about him then. They transition quickly to Misery needing blood, and for protection reasons and sex reasons, Lo wants her to drink from him. He tells her that he didn't change the sheets after she got her scent all over them because it was an added element to his masturbatory fantasies. So the blood drinking gets sexy immediately, and Misery wants to have sex and get a condom. And he's like, I have no condoms, Misery, for you do not understand. We can't have sex. So let's take a second to process this.
But like, I mean, we all know why. This is actually because he's gonna not, and like he doesn't know if he can not in her because she's not. I don't know. I get, but like they don't talk about an Omega, but Omegas are the only ones that take knots. But this is where I would love to have a normie here.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Why
Someone
do
who
you
doesn't
think
know.
they can't have sex? Because they don't have condoms?
Uh-huh.
Like, were you fooled by this line?
Well, also, I have to point out that there's another inconsistency here because in the beginning of the book, she mentions that she was given a contraceptive shot.
Oh.
So she didn't need a condom unless,
Yeah, if it's that hard to get vampires pregnant.
Yeah. So, anywho, this man stumbles all over himself trying to tell her what the deal is with his penis. But he gives her this tantalizing primer. He says, it's happened already and you weren't even in the room. And she's like, it? And he says, and I'm not going to be able to stop myself from wanting to finish. So he tells her they are different species and he doesn't want to hurt her. Then she's like, but you said we would. And he's like, no, I said I could. And it's like, dude, let's not do this. Like, this is just some silly language stuff. And so eventually he realizes he has to show her. And that's when she discovers that he has a mighty inflatable penis.
Yeah, he just has a dick that gets bigger. Like, get over yourself and your big dick.
I know, right? And I'm like, dude, do you know what vaginas do naturally?
No, definitely not.
Right. Like, you need to understand that you can shove a baby through the vaginal canal.
Yeah.
A baby is always going to be
With
bigger
some
than your
prep
dick.
work, but
with a lot of prep work, and it's not a great experience, but vaginas can do it. So let's all calm down.
Yeah, and there's no way
maybe
your penis
consult the person who is going to experience this.
This is
and
my
see what
thing
they're
with
ready
Lo.
for.
I like him as a character, but I also am a little bit like, could you maybe trust her? And if she wants to do it, could you maybe like just talk her through what's going to happen if she decides to do it? Do it.
No, because every author's favorite source of tension is withholding information, which is the misunderstanding trope, which I hate so much.
Yeah.
True.
And maybe it's just because I say everything that comes to my brain, no impulse control. But like, oh my God.
Well, like I don't identify with it at all because I don't like there to be any misunderstanding between me and another person. Like there's been times I've gotten into arguments with people and I've basically like gone to their house, kicked open the door and been like, we're going to talk about this right now. Like we're both not going to stew about this.
I'm absolutely not that. But I feel like this is a little inconsistent with Lo's character because when he's going to scent her, he basically talks about what he's going to do so she understands. And then she's like, whatever, get on with it. And he's like, no. I need your explicit consent. And then here he's like, I'm just not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So you basically have to say no by default.
Yeah.
So again, I wish I had a normie here who was like, what do you think he did in his room by himself? Because he definitely like nodded by himself.
Yeah, he nodded by himself, which is why he was like, damn it, this is actually a real thing.
But
like it's not just some weird thing about her son or what she's doing to herself. She's my mate.
Yeah.
And now he has to like functionally figure that out. Knowing that she's not a werewolf.
Yeah.
And can she do this with me?
The answer is yes.
Okay, so chapter 23. We begin this chapter shopping for antiques for Governor Davenport. I mean, this is a lot of whiplash. Like before he just said, I have an inflatable dick.
Yeah.
Now we are shopping for antiques.
In a thrift store, not like a special antique shop.
I thought this part was cute. It's like how they both bond over the fact that they don't understand human culture.
Yeah. They're super adorable. So they bicker a lot and they eventually buy an ashtray. Then they go to dinner with Governor Davenport, who suggests that Anna's dad got around. And then Lo throws him against the wall. And it's one of the super sexy, like, I am unbelievably powerful, and no one with these guns pointed at me right now is going to be able to get off a shot before I kill you all.
Because he's alpha.
Yeah. So Davenport admits to having Anna's dad killed because he was talking to journalists about embezzling that was going on in Davenport's administration, i.e. Davenport was embezzling money. And Serena knew about it. Afterwards, they logic out some stuff about Serena and posit that maybe she disappeared on her own, like went into hiding. They go to meet Owen, and there with him is Gabby, Lo's mate. So this is mostly a political chapter where Owen tells her he's gunning for their dad's job, and Misery is like, well, he's going to kill you. But she's forced to really see her Playboy brother is actually very serious about this. Then she realizes that Gabby and Lo don't seem to know each other well at all. He doesn't remember where she went to school and for what, which is not something you forget if you're obsessed with them. Mm-hmm. Misery slowly realizes that she's wrong. Gabby is not Lo's mate.
Yeah. She, at the end of this chapter, she's like, where did I go to school? And he like knows immediately. Mm-hmm. She's like, what did I study? And he knows immediately. And she's like,
yeah, she does. She has like a big like moment
of realization.
Yeah, they did this at like Misery's old apartment, where she is having that existential crisis. Mm-hmm. Like, am I your mate or am I not your mate? Mm-hmm. Okay, so after that, she tells him Gabby isn't your mate, and he's like, why would you think that? But Davenport told her, so he's like, oh yeah, we kind of lied to the vampires, so she could go as collateral. It has to be a family member. And since Anna is his only family, they pretended Gabby was just as good as family. And like, ha, 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 it's all a misunderstanding. Then they have sex against the wall. And he tells her about his knot. And she's like, he does ask, like, what do you think it does? I call sexy like. And she's like, it keeps the cum inside, right?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, well, that was uncomfortable laughter. And so anyway, he pulls out when he comes, so we don't have the nodding yet. Then it gets all ruined when she confronts him. She's like, I'm your mate, aren't I? And he's like a total self-sacrificing asshole and says, nope, not at all. Ha ha ha. Misery, you have your thoughts twisted up about what I feel for you. And it's like, God damn it, Ali. You let your main character finally figure shit out for herself and not have her love interest tell her to her disbelieving dumb face. And this is how you repay us all. And I'm just like, but at the same time, I love you.
Yeah.
And never, ever change. But, you know, go ahead.
I highlighted this part in orange because I was pissed off.
Yeah, I know.
Everything else was blue.
Yeah, so whatever. He gets a call and has to go. And he says he'll have someone pick her up and take him back home. And I'm just like, fucking go, Lo. I don't want to look at your face.
Also, against the wall, it seems like the worst place to do it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, maybe with a stranger at a club, but someone you know and you like, I don't know. It just,
is she a virgin?
She is.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is adventurous for a first time.
Yeah.
He also accuses her of being desperate for a connection with anyone because of her upbringing, which is fucking rude.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I know he
did it to
highlighted
push
that
her
more.
away.
And he really like pulled out all the stops there, and I was like, "Damn, guy, just cool it. You like this woman."
That was too personal.
Yeah. Okay, so Misery takes a shower, not a bath.
That's how you know it's not sexy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Mick picks her up and is being really morose and, like I totally predicted, betrays her and sticks her with a syringe, and she passes out.
I'll be honest, I didn't see it coming.
Oh man, I totally did. I don't know. It's just like
he was being too nice.
He was way too nice. Okay, so she wakes up in an attic with Serena, and Serena's like, I've been reading shitty classics for 3 months and I have no decent plans for escape. And so they kind of get together and they do this escape plan where the guard is like kind of talking to them through the door, and they wind up dislocating his fingers, and he opens the door. The guard is aware, so Misery's like, damn it, Mick is in league with Emery. And then they escape and realize that they're actually on top of the nest. They're in vampire territory, which means that her dad is behind everything.
Big gas.
I know. So they get caught by Vanya, who drags them in front of Misery's dad, who has Mick by his side. And Mick has apparently been working with them since they have his son. And her dad gives her this, you could never be a leader because you don't subscribe to the greater good philosophy. Serena explains that vampires have maintained their clout in North America due to the political alliances that it has with humans through their collateral system, and then suggests that skirmishes between wares and humans were probably caused by vampires.
There's a lot of exposition.
There is so much exposition in this chapter just to like speed people through why this is happening.
Yeah.
Misery's dad has this huge monologue that Serena's been up to all these things, and apparently she is also a were-human hybrid who went looking for answers when she started to change because she didn't know she was part were because she's an orphan. Literally no one knows who she is. She found Anna's dad. They set up a meeting. Misery's dad intervened and thralled the governor into killing him. So all of this is being done, of course, because Misery's dad really needs that alliance with humans, and he really doesn't need anybody to know that where human hybrids are possible, because this gives weres and humans even more reason to band together against vampires. So he's willing to get rid of all these hybrids, or at least keep them all contained together so no one knows that they exist. Owen marches in with Lo in handcuffs. He says that he'll get Lo to give him Anna because Misery is Lo's mate. Misery's like, LOL, I'm not his mate. But when pressed to tell everyone that Misery isn't his mate, Lo says nothing, because of course. So,
even now,
yeah,
he won't admit it.
I'm like, damn it. So Misery's dad's like, okay, give me Anna so humans and weres don't join forces against vampires. And Lo's like, and I would do that, why? So Dad puts a knife to Misery's throat and says she'll request that Lo give him Anna. But then Serena says in language that she made up with Misery that she can really shift, actually, just fine. And then Owen lets Lo go, and they both shift, and they tear Dad apart.
I found the phrase tear apart odd phrasing in the book because, as we will see, he isn't dead yet.
Yeah, I know. They specifically said tear apart. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, by the way, here he is. Totally fine.
It's not like they shredded him into M&Ms or anything.
Yeah, no, definitely no M&Ms were found.
Maybe like they just pulled an arm off.
So the weres win. Dad is taken into custody, and Misery tells Lo and Owen to do whatever they want with him. She's just really done with the whole dad thing. Owen tells Dad that they're going to undo everything he's done and work towards lasting peace and unity with humans and weres. No more collaterals, no more checkpoints, no more territories. Misery goes and takes a nap in her childhood bed. And this is when we finally learn what vampire beds are: a thin mattress on the ground and a wooden platform 3 feet above it, like a tipped over coffin, which is insane.
Sleep in a coffin at that point.
I don't know, a bed with those curtains.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so very vampire-y if they would allow that to happen.
Like
They
romantic.
just will not let themselves be goth in this.
No.
She just really wants them to
Man,
be
that
like,
was an opportunity missed.
yeah.
Okay, so they discuss how Serena felt. Like she couldn't tell Misery about her changes, and the two realizes that they're best friends and they always will be, and everything is great. We love each other. So cute. So then Misery goes back to her territory, and they leave Serena with Juno so they can wolf around out in the woods. Then she goes to Lo's house, and they have naughty sex.
Naughty with K-N-O-T.
Yes, with a knot.
Yeah.
A pun that you can't see.
Yeah, we finally do the not sex. Everything is great. Love it. Yay. Woo. Not sex. And happily ever after.
Gorge.
So then we have an epilogue in Lo's point of view. And Cohen is bringing Anna home. And they see Serena playing with her cat. And Cohen just becomes this shock statue. And Lo's like, oh no. So we're setting up with the sequel with Cohen and Serena, which is bold because Ali's asking me to envision Oscar Isaac instead of Adam Driver, as we alluded to it before.
Yeah.
And that's a hard ask for me. I will try. I will. But it's going to be a trial.
Yeah. You told me before I'd finished the book that the epilogue is setting up for a sequel, and I was kind of hoping I was going to get the second half of the romance that I thought was going to happen in this book, which was between Owen and Gabby, right?
I would have given anything for an Abbott. Right. Gabby Owen romance. Yeah.
Maybe that's number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So
or the fan fiction I will write.
Yeah. Oh my God, please.
So the total count in this book is 1 make-out / licking event, because we disagree on the terminology there. 2 dry humpings, 1 fingering.
Where's the second?
1
dry
oral.
humping?
2 penetrative sex.
Where is the second dry humping?
When he's eating her up.
Oh, because he's dry humping the floor.
yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so 6 total.
Yeah.
It was a pretty sexy book.
I mean, yeah.
I would.
Once you total it up, it's more than it felt like when you were reading it.
I would say that was just a really spicy book if you want to use like the parlance of the time.
I mean, and I think too, based on the way that people who don't understand what Omegaverse is are reacting to it, it's like way kinkier than us chronically online people.
Yeah.
They're
for sure. Little babies out there. They don't
Yeah,
know.
they are.
They don't know what true Omegaverse is.
Yeah.
There's usually way more liquids.
This is for sure Omegaverse
like
light. It's
waterproof.
This doesn't
cover.
even begin to approach the weirdest thing I've ever read on the internet.
No. You talked about consenticles in our...
Yeah, I did. And that's like, there's a point when you've been online for so much of your life that you read that and you're like, well, I'm here. Yeah. New information.
It's just going to keep going. The only way it is through.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
I've come this far. All right, so for the wrap up,
The
Maura.
wrap up, you know what? I fucking love this. 5
Yeah.
stars. There are things that make no sense. There are plot holes galore. There are weird little things that didn't get cut out, inconsistencies. Yeah, all of that is there. I admit it. I'm not going to like claim it's perfect because it's not. The thing is, I just don't care. I loved it. I would read only this from her, from now on. Like, I appreciate all of her contemporary romance novels. I love them, but I love this little paranormal thing that she's doing, and I would just, oh man, just this forever is like something I would just love to have happen. So yeah, my favorite book of 2024 by far. And we'll see if something comes up that, you know, replaces it in my list of like best books of the year. But for my wrap up of the whole year, this is going to be top 5. I know it.
So I think, and I know this might be controversial, I think that this was one of the best alpha werewolf romances I've read. It is very easy in alpha romances to make the male love interest big, dumb, and angry. The only appealing characteristic these men might have is that they're overprotective, and that can really go either way, to it's being fun or being not. But Lo is so good as an alpha. He's very smart, except with tech. And aggression is not his first tactic in a conflict. And the intimidation that his pack feels for him seems almost to be instinctual rather than born out of him actually behaving in a dominant way. Lo has just accepted that he's a natural leader and he doesn't have to be a brute about it. But most importantly for the story is that he seems to respect Misery. He doesn't do the, like, I'm going to be mean and snarky to prove that I don't like her thing. He also doesn't do the overprotective thing, really, where he tries to control every aspect of her life. He is civil at first, and then he just sort of leans into liking her as a person. So he's not just driven by like a mating instinct, but he likes her for who she is. I also really like the pretense when one character is absolutely baffled that they really like another character, and they just spend a lot of the time like looking at them and being confused. Not angry, confused. So as someone who struggles to root for hetero romances, she really did the best version of an alpha male that I have seen yet. 10 out of 10. No notes. Well, maybe some notes, but nothing worth mentioning. No.
Just the M&Ms.
Just the M&Ms.
Like, what were you doing, Ellie?
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, it was so good. I love pining. I love slow burn. And I feel like that was really here. And I feel in Omegaverse, it's can sometimes go like we immediately are obsessed and love each other and we're going to get married and have babies tomorrow type thing. There's just like a bit of a pine, especially with like the Raylo Omegaverse. But this was just like peak pining. Those little subheadings.
Yeah, that was just pining.
Yeah, just straight up pining. And it gives you like just enough as a reader, like into Lo's point of view, where as you're reading him kind of like playing off, you know, oh, you don't stink, but like he doesn't say that you smell awesome. But or like when he's trying to like misdirect her a little bit, you as a reader know.
Yeah.
Even without knowing the Omegaverse, you're like giving that peek. Like he's definitely lying.
Yeah, those little pining intros were when I would like kick my feet and giggle.
Yes, me too. Yeah. Me too. I like read one once and I like closed the book and I was like but like it's so good. And I usually hate like the misunderstanding, miscommunication trope, especially from like your naive, like virginal female main character. But Misery kind of has a reason to be naive about the world or how people interact, and it like makes sense in here. Like that's usually a big plot hole for me. Like, why is that person so dumb? But yeah, I loved it. I read this in like one sitting. I was hyperfixated. I was giggling. I was laughing. I was squealing. I had like butterflies in my stomach. I was clenching my jaw, like at being annoyed at that one part when he's mean to her. But it was so good, and I hope she continues to write in this like genre. I think it's really good. If I had to like give one point that I didn't love, I think she tries like a little too hard to make the vampires and werewolf science-y. Yeah. Like the organism
that's
thing.
Her thing though.
I know it is, but and also she's definitely never met a real child before in her life. Who are we?
I feel a Serena vibe. Like when I saw her, she was up there like just stuck in that attic reading bad books and hating every second of it. And, you know, she'd been in there for 3 months and we are at the end of the winter as we're recording this. So we've all been stuck inside reading sometimes bad books. And when I saw that, I was like, God, I identify with you so much right now. So I'm a Serena.
Yeah. Tabitha?
Honestly, I feel like for the first time since we've been doing this that I am the main character. I think I am Misery. I identify with her dry humor, that she's kind of a morally gray person on the surface, but ultimately on the side of good, and that she really has no interest in romance or sex until a very particular circumstance.
Yeah. She's also not a very big fan of children.
True.
Yeah.
Well, she also treats the child like it's a little adult, which is exactly how I interact with children.
Yeah. Speaking of children, I would say that I'm Anna, or Anna, whatever the hell her name is. I think I'm cute chaos. Like the whole time I've been sitting here, I have not stopped fidgeting. And also I have to do math on my fingers.
You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Thank you for joining us
Yeah.
for Bride.
Thank you for going through this ride with us.
Yeah.
Good book. Go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Read,
please
read her
do.
other books too.
Absolutely. And I'll read all the other ones. You will not
You
be
can
disappointed.
you can even read Love Theoretically.
You can.
I'm gonna say it's a great one because I've never read it.
In one of her books, the Adam driver lifts a car.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
He does. It's so great. Go out there, buy all of them. You will not regret it.
Yes.
All right. Thank
All right.
you for joining us.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.